India has a diversified financial sector undergoing a rapid expansion, both in terms of strong growth of existing financial services and new entities entering the market. The government of India has introduced several reforms to liberalize, regulate, and enhance this industry. Hello, everyone. You are listening to Industry Wired Conversations, your front row seat to founder journeys, leadership insights, and real stories behind how industries run. The evolution of financial services in India is a testament to the country's resilience and adaptability. From its colonial era beginnings to the era of economic liberalization and the digital age, India finance has come a long way. It has diversified, modernized, and become more inclusive, providing a range of financial services to growing and a dynamic economy. Let's welcome Anupam Vasdani, Group Chief Financial Officer at True Balance, to discuss how India's Bharat's digital economy is fostering financial inclusion. Hi Anupam, a warm welcome to our podcast today.
Hi, Priya. Good morning, and thank you so much for having me on your show.
Great, it's a pleasure to have you, Anupam. And I think we are going to discuss a lot about True Balance and the overall financial services of the country. So let's get started by telling our listeners more about the company, its specialization, and alongside that, we would also like to know more about you, Anupam. How has your journey been till date, and what exactly is your role at True Balance?
Sure, thank you. So, True Balance is a AI-led financial services platform. Our mission is to provide financial access to the underserved and unserved Indian customers. We specialize in providing the financial access to low and medium income customer segments. And we do this at a great scale. We handle a large velocity of transactions on a daily basis. Our loans are typically small ticket size, and the heart of our business is our proprietary AI-led alternative credit scoring model. This is something which we have developed on our own. We have refined it over a period of time, and we use alternative data to assess the credit worthiness of our customers and provide them instant credit access. I've been with True Balance now for almost a year. I'm serving here as a Group Chief Financial Officer. I'm responsible for the finance and treasury function. I'm also responsible to oversee the control functions, which is compliance, legal, secretarial, information security. And yeah, it's been a great journey. Last 1 year, it's been very busy, very productive, and the company has scaled quite rapidly. So it's been a great journey for me in the last 1 year.
That's a great overview, Anupam, and it's interesting to understand not just what an organization does, but also the vision and problem-solving approach that drives it forward. And having said that, we are really glad to understand about True Balance, its contribution towards the overall financial economy of the country, and of course about your leadership as well, that it goes beyond just a typical leadership role and how you're trying to merge innovation, strategy, and long-term impact. With that foundation set in place, Anupam, if you talk about India, I think India is presently undergoing tech-led transformation. It's driving digitization across all sectors, you name it, and that you will see the impact of tech solutions in each of these industries. Among these, fintech companies have emerged as particularly dynamic forces reshaping the financial services landscape. With strong government backing and a surge in fintech innovation, India today hosts the third largest fintech ecosystem globally. Now, however, I believe that this meteoric growth is not without its hurdles. I think companies have to navigate a complex set of challenges to not just grow, but to even survive. So, what were the biggest challenges you faced while building and scaling a fintech platform in India?
Yeah, I think it's a great question. Fintech, as you rightly described, is a very dynamic ecosystem, and things are happening at a lightning pace here. So, for the last 1 year, as I've joined, my focus has been to ensure that we have our governance and risk management in place. we continue to kind of strengthen them, play in this. I come from a background of institutional finance. I worked as CFO in my previous role, CFO at Toyota Financial Services. Is a mature organization and it's focused on the auto finance. And in that sense, it's a great journey for me coming from a matured organization to a very dynamic entity like True Balance, which is trying to solve the credit access problem for the next billion. So as we scale, it's important that we get our foundations right. The risk management, the governance needs to kind of match up and scale and probably be ahead of the scale at which the institution is growing. So my focus has been to make sure that we have the right controls in the organization. The financial discipline is maintained. We have very sharp eyes on the unit economics, and we have the hygiene in place, such as the reporting controls, the financial statements are prepared properly, etc. The other area of my focus has been to ensure that for a fast growing organization like True Balance, the capital is available and it's available at the right cost. We have been working on the front of our fundraising program. We have made great progress there to strengthen our fundraising capabilities. In fact, just a few months back, we have raised close to about $75 million from a US based impact fund. This is a long term financing which we have done. And typically, for the sector in which we operate, this kind of a large financing for long tenor, 5 years plus, is very rare. So we are very proud of what we have done in terms of strengthening our capital raising capacity. We have deeply engaged with our investors, the existing ones. We have tried to make new partnerships and ensure that as we are going to scale in future, we have the right set of lenders in partnership for us to scale to the next level. The other thing which I have been focused on in the last few months is to make sure that we have the right kind of talent, which is there in our control functions. I mean, we have created new positions based on the scale we have today and we are going to achieve in the next few years. It was important that we have the right set of people and the right set of responsibilities allocated to them to ensure that the guardrails are in place. So we have hired some amazing talent in our back office, be it compliance, be it treasury, finance, and we made sure that we are ready to scale to the next level.
That's a very insightful perspective, Anupam. And I think building a fintech company in India is not just about creating technology, it's about navigating trust, regulation, and user behavior all at once. The market evolves rapidly, customer expectations keep changing, and compliance requirements are also constantly becoming more sophisticated. So, scaling in such an environment requires both resilience and innovation. And I'm glad to hear, how True Balance has approached the roadblocks that you mentioned while continuing to grow and innovate in such a competitive space.
Sure.
Great. Now, of course, when we're talking about digitizations, if we consider that in the financial or the banking sector, people no longer want to wait in long queues at banks to, fill out those endless paperwork. They're expecting quick digital first financial solutions, all from the comfort of their smartphones. And I think that's changing a lot about the current dynamics of the financial sector today. So, how are, these digital financial services changing customer expectations every day?
Yeah, and I think our customers have evolved a lot, Priya, and they have become super demanding, and rightfully so. India has one of the world's best digital infrastructure, as you said, and we as a population have kind of very rapidly adapted to the new digital world. And as a financial services today, the interesting part is that we are not just competing amongst ourselves, the industry, but the customer expects us to be the best in terms of their overall digital experience, be it across the industries, not just the financial services. So expectations have reached really sky high, and certain things are just given and very much desirable from a customer point of view. For example, speed is non-negotiable, right? Customer today expects that he would apply, he should be assessed, and the decision should be regarding his credit application should be made not in days but in minutes, right? And this is something which is the industry standard. As I said, customer Indian customer is very digitally native, right? I mean, we are a young country. Our demographics are one of the remarkables in the world, and naturally, with that, the expectations also become huge. Secondly, as I mentioned, that we are AI-led financial platform. Our focus has been to see how we use AI as a technology to offer a personalized services to our customers, right? They don't expect today a kind of a generic offerings, right? Like, for example, it's not about a loan or a credit facility available to them at a general way, but something which is kind of matched to their requirements, to their needs, to their cash flows. And this can happen at a scale only when you have a very strong backend infrastructure and a very strong AI model. So personalization again is super important. The other thing is that the element of trust, right? In financial services, technology has revolutionized the game. It has brought down the cost. But what has not changed, in fact, what has rather gone up is the trust which is expected from the customer, right? So how do you kind of gain the trust of your customers? And in a very simple way, it's about that you should be clear in your communication with the customer. You should be honest, no hidden charges. The customers expect to be clearly aware of what they owe at what point of times, what is the repayment cycle, and it should be very clearly communicated. I think regulators have done a fantastic job there to make sure that we have a strong fair practice code, customers' interests are protected. And that has also, again, kind of led to the higher customer expectations. The other thing is that as we serve a diverse market like India, right, super diverse, we often say that we are actually not one nation, but we are various nations fitted into a country. Like it's like a Europe as diverse, probably more. So it's important that with the use of this technology, we are able to communicate with our customers in their language, in vernacular, the language they are comfortable, they understand well. And it's not just a regulatory push. Today, it's become business hygiene. Customers expect that they should be able to understand well what is being communicated. So I think, again, I said the expectations of the Indian customers are very high, and we as an organization and also as an industry need to continue to evolve, make sure that we are investing well and serve these rising needs of our customers.
I agree with you, Anupam, that how customer expectations today are evolving much faster than the overall industry itself. And what once felt like a premium experience has now become the baseline. Consumers no longer compare banks only with other banks. They are comparing each and every financial interaction with the seamless digital experiences they receive, whether from streaming, e-commerce, and other tech platforms. And again, I think at the same time, the trust and security, transparency have equally become important in shaping customer loyalty. So I think we are witnessing a major shift from transactional relationships to a more experience-driven engagement in the financial sector.
Absolutely. Yeah.
Yeah. Moving ahead, Anupam, I think the foresightedness to build financially empowered India with the aim of taking banking beyond branches is already a success. From remote to urban areas, the wave of change can be noticed all over the country with, an inclusive financial systems. I think the accessibility of financial services, products, and financial literacy has been on a rise, and it could be confirmed with the data released by RBI, which releases its Financial Inclusion Index. So for the year ending March 2025, that index stands at 67.0 in comparison to 64.2 in March 2024. So having said that, while the country is overall aiming for a financial inclusion, how does True Balance approach financial inclusions? And what insights have you gained from serving our Bharat users?
Yeah, this is our mission. This is our DNA. We are here to serve the underserved and unserved local population, right? For other nations, I would say, like, if you compare Europe, this is the technology, digitization, the AI is something which can take them from current level to a better level, right? For us, it's about what we call as 0 to 1, right? We did not have it. There was no financial inclusion. I mean, not very long back in history, just a few years back, financial inclusion in India was abysmally lower. We had seen this. We have been part of that journey, that era. But look at the way things have changed in the last I would say, 10 to 15 years, with mobile penetration becoming universal. You spoke about the number. Financial literacy is increasing. And I think this is putting our country to a very different map. And I think this will be the driver for our growth for over many, many years and probably decades to come. And as I said, this is our mission as a company, right? To make sure that the credit access become possible to the underserved, unserved. How we do this? We do this by ensuring that we have a robust infrastructure in place in terms of a technology, in terms of our operations to serve these customers. These are the customers which are in tier three towns or beyond them, right? We are talking about customers which are deep in the rural areas. By the way, we serve 100% of the pin codes across the country. So you can imagine we are serving customers sitting in a remote location of, let's say, Northeast, right? Which for him, financial access was not possible just a few years back, but today it's digitally available in the form of an instant loan. So, and I think as a part of this journey, and especially for me, because I've been part of this industry only in the last 1 year, it's a remarkable, I would say, transformation and experience which I have gained from this. And there are certain myths, right? As somebody who was outside this sector, I had this notion that when you talk about the tier two, tier three towns, underserved population, they may not have the great financial discipline, right? So, how to serve them. But I think our data shows that the customers, which are let's say in these remote areas and possibly challenged in terms of their overall, let's say, in the financial strata, the position, but because of their tight financial position, they are even more conservative and they manage their cash flows well. Second, I think this is a notion which has been broken for a while in the country as a whole, that the new to credit customers, the thin file customers, are not necessarily more riskier, right? We just need to have a different approach, as we say, alternative database approach to kind of meet their credit requirements. Third, I think, again, when we are serving this large population, diverse population, as I said earlier, the expectation of these customers, even though they are in remote areas, is as high as you would expect somebody sitting out of a tier one town in India or possibly anywhere in the world, right? Any advanced market. The expectations of the young population is sky high. So these are some of the amazing learnings which I had as becoming part of the True Balance. Fundamental, I would again say, is a trust, right? You have business model which is excellent, scalable. We are constantly watching our unit economics. We're trying to get operational excellence in every aspect of business, use AI in every element of a business, bring down the costs. But while we do this and do this at a scale, the fundamental denominator for all this is the trust, right? You need to connect with your customers. You need to be having the trust of your customers and deeply engaged with them. I mean, this also shows in terms of the kind of the repeat customers we have, right? It's in this business, if you have the trust, the customer keeps coming back to you. So this has been our journey and some of the learnings which I had, Priya, becoming part of True Balance.
Thank you, Anupam, for sharing that. And I think that was very well put across. Because financial inclusion, I think, it's not about providing just access to digital payments or credit. It's about building trust, understanding user behavior, and offering solutions that truly work for people across different regions and income groups. And I think as digital adoption continues to accelerate across tier two and tier three, and even the rural markets, companies like True Balance, they genuinely that can understand that these users, they play a major role in defining the next phase of India's financial growth story.
Sure.
Great. Moving ahead, Anupam, I think when you talk about innovation, I think innovation allows companies to continuously adapt and change rather than stagnating in the mid-range alongside their competitors. Whereas operational excellence, says a different story. I mean, for these professionals, people who are taking care after operational excellence, they must understand how their organization can gain a benefit from tech innovation, which is evolving daily, and learn how to integrate them in the daily workflows to meet those constantly customer changing demands. I want to understand from you that how do you ensure innovation doesn't come at the cost of operational excellence?
It's a great question, Priya. And I would say that these are two not independent variables, right? Operational excellence and innovation are often thought that they are two opposite side of the spectrum, right? But for any organization to succeed, it's important that the organization finds to kind of excel in both. You have operational excellence and you continue to innovate. Only that is the recipe for a long term success. So, for us as a fintech, as somebody who is operating in a fiercely competitive environment, you need to constantly innovate to reach to your customer segment, even though, as I said, the opportunity is tremendous, but also the competition is very fierce in this segment, right? Because it's been recognized widely that this segment of the customers would continue to kind of grow. There's a huge headroom to grow. So competition is there and competition would only increase. So the question is that while you innovate at a very rapid pace, how do you bring the operational excellence in this process so that you kind of don't fall off the rails and you have necessary protection built mechanisms that the company serves its mission, is disciplined, the financial guardrails are in place, you don't fall off the compliance guardrails, etc. I'll give you some examples which we do here. I mean, we do incredible amount of product innovation. In the last 1 year, we have done several improvements to our customers' journey on a platform. And while doing that, it's important that we make sure that we do not do it in a way in which it becomes an operational nightmare for us. And if you put operational kind of guardrails as a part of your process, the system takes care for itself. For example, any new kind of innovation you want to do in your application, which is like our real estate, which is where the customer comes in for us, it's important that we have appropriate controls. We do extensive A/B testing, right? We try to look at the customers in various segments. How are they responding? Are we achieving the mission? Are we increasing their convenience? We need to have this test and control cohorts, monitor the results very closely, ensuring that the customer experience, even when you're testing, kind of does not get adversely impacted. Then on the credit side also, right? When we are serving the underserved, unserved population, it's not just simply possible to say this is one set of customers which is underserved, right? You have variety of customers with very diverse needs in different geographies. How do you come across a credit model which can kind of be able to deal with the needs of these customers, right? So you need ability to kind of on your credit model side to continuously evolve with the new set of data which it receives, with the kind of the checks and balances we build in the model to make sure that your credit decisions are all right. So innovation, while ensuring that operational discipline exists, is important. And something as basic as traditional, I would say, right, which all large institutions do, right? Have your several lines of defenses ready. You have credit. Make sure that you're doing credit with discipline. When you are trying to innovate, make sure that you have defined cohorts, monitor the results, make sure that for any new tests, right, make sure that your compliances are in place, right? And for that, the important part that the compliance function has to really work very closely with the product and the innovation team. Similarly, again, I say as a line of defense, your audit has to kind of keep up pace to make sure that the innovation is there, but it's a responsible innovation, right? You have responsibility on the model to make sure your model is not drifting, to make sure that you have the right checks and balances built in your AI model. So if you follow this and you are able to marry the two, you will find success. If you try to take one versus the other, it will not be a scalable or a long-term business model. Priya, that's how I see it.
Great insight, Anupam. And I think it's very important because in today's environment, because I believe that organizations are under constant pressure to innovate faster while still maintaining that reliability and consistency and ultimately maintain their customers' trust. And I also think that many businesses today struggle with balancing experimentation and execution. There's often excitement around new technologies or launching new ideas, but without strong operational foundations, I think these initiatives can quickly lose momentum. And your insights really underline the importance of building systems that can scale innovation responsibly.
Perfect.
Great. So, Anupam, I think we have had a good conversation around the financial inclusion in a country like India, and what a role True Balance is playing here in terms of fostering that inclusion. Again, navigating the startup ecosystem can be challenging and a very overwhelming experience. But with the right knowledge and preparation, you can set yourself up for success. So, one last question for you is, what advice would you give to aspiring entrepreneurs looking to build in the startup ecosystem?
I would give this with a disclaimer, Priya. As I mentioned, I've had only 1 year of experience here in this ecosystem. It's been a great experience, tremendous learning opportunity for me. It has opened my mind to a large extent, and it has broken some of the myths I had. Right, I always thought that something which has so much of dynamism as a sector, as an entity, right? For example, we discussed that operational excellence may not be so high quality. But if you think about the fintechs, operational excellence again is there because you are dealing with people's money, you are dealing with high volume of transactions. My advice to the people who want to come into this industry would be that it's probably a myth that when you have so much of dynamism and when you have so much of agility, and if you especially come from an outside sector, things on the operational side may not be great, right? I would advise the my fellow kind of people from the industry that make sure that you build necessary operational guardrails around your business, compliance guardrails as you scale. Don't lose sight. As the industry, we are extremely focused on innovation, growth, which is very important. At the same time, important that we don't lose a sight on building the necessary guardrails. I would also say that it is often felt, right, in the startups, especially, that governance will be put up later. When we scale, the governance will be put up on top of it at a later stage. It doesn't happen. Right? Governance is a DNA of the company. You have it or you don't have it. You can't change the DNA at a later stage. I was I say, as an institution, it's great that True Balance build the culture and DNA of strong governance, risk management at the start. It was impossible otherwise that you operate in two different worlds. As you know, our DNA is Korea. Our founder, Charlie, is from Korea. And we have, in that sense, best of both worlds, right? But when we have that, it's important that, as I said, that governance is built into the place, into the institution right at the start. You can't put it at a layer on top of it. The second thing is same with the compliance, right? Either you have compliance in your DNA, you have a spirit of compliance, or you don't have it, right? You just would not be able to catch up with the regulator space today. I mean, we've got one of the best regulator across, right? Across the markets, if you look at it. RBI has done its job incredibly well of protecting the financial service industry through very challenging times, various business cycles, ups and downs, right? We are very fortunate to have a regulator like that. I think for a company to kind of catch up with the regulator, it's important that compliance is very seamlessly built in the business, right? Not as a separate function, not works in isolation, but right into the core function of the company. That would be my advice to my fellow industry people, Priya.
Great. Thank you for that insights, Anupam. And I think we have had a wonderful conversation around the financial ecosystem of India. And of course, your ending note to startup founders and entrepreneurs was very much beneficial. So thank you so much, Anupam, for taking all the time and effort and, helping us understand that with the growing investor participation and rising digital adoption, India's financial sector is well positioned to become a global powerhouse, driving inclusive growth and long-term economic resilience. So thank you for your insights, Anupam. It was lovely chatting with you.
Same here, Priya. Thank you. It was wonderful conversation, and thanks for having me.
Thank you so much. It was a pleasure. So, this is for listeners. I hope you enjoyed today's discussion around financial inclusion, learning more about true balance and their contributions towards the overall Indian economy and specifically to the financial sector. And what are some things you need to keep in mind as new entrepreneurs who are trying to seek success and understanding the intricacies of the startup ecosystem. Stay tuned for upcoming episodes, and you can view all our previous episodes on Spotify and other leading platforms. Thank you so much.